Hello there. So, oh no, more tutorials. Anyway, no, I don't need a tutorial. Hi there. This is Final Fantasy XIII. I said I was going to try to compare this to Final Fantasy VII. We'll see how that goes. No need to save. So, this is arguably probably the worst reviewed, least liked game of all the Final Fantasy franchise. It's the first one on PS3 and Xbox 360, I believe, and universally, not universally, but a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people, fans of Final Fantasy particularly, were the ones that didn't like it. However, I quite enjoyed this game, and I'm aware of all the criticisms that it has, and I'm going to try to address those. So first of all, this game came out, it was just in time for my 17th birthday when I got this, and I'd watched all the trailers like a billion times. I was like, wow, this looks so good. I'm very excited for this. Finally got it, played all the way through it. It's about 50 hours long for the main story, plus there's another, I think there's like another 60 hours of content on top of that. Anyway, played through the story, went, well, that was a fun game. Good game, not the best game, but I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, I'm glad that they did a pretty good job. And so after that, I decided to look at reviews and what other people thought, and it was just panned. People hated it. People were not just like disappointed with the game. People were angry about this game. They were angry that Square Enix would let this happen to the beloved Final Fantasy franchise. So why is it that everyone hated it? Well, you might be able to hear one of the reasons. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone, but basically, the way they brought in the active time battle again, similar to Final Fantasy VII and kind of like 8, where your attacks are based on a timer. However, your attacks are also, you can queue them up automatically like I just did then. And what makes that happen, what happens after that is you just end up going through a battle just pressing the X button. Oh jeez. That is for the start of the game. It's not throughout the entire game, but it's about halfway through the game where things mix up. However, well, it's actually a slow drip feed, but I think halfway through the game is when this actually gets really good. However, I don't think people were willing to sit through the 25 hours of gameplay where you're just tapping X to get through every single battle. Neither should they. It's kind of bullshit, but I still enjoyed it. There is quite oh my god, I'm stuttering so much. There is quite a bit of strategy when you get further into the game. It is drip fed into you though. And the reason why this was hated so much is because the main reason is because the linear nature of the game. You can see at the moment I'm literally just traveling down one straight path. That is something that Final Fantasy has always been known for, is these gigantic worlds that you can explore at your leisure. And I think one of the reasons people were actually angry is that there is this gigantic world. You can see behind me, look at, I don't know if I can move, no I can't, but you can see behind me there is a giant, well, we're in a giant city right now. However, we're not really told that much about it. Well, we are, but we don't ever really get to experience this huge world. It's kind of just shown near us, and it's like, hey, look at this, too bad you can't go here, I'm sorry. As opposed to Final Fantasy, as you saw in the last video, where at a certain point in the game you can fly around on a ship and see the entire Earth. None of that is in this. I'm not even sure about, I can't even remember. I know there is an airship, but it's nothing like flying around in Final Fantasy VII or even 10. You can't fly around to like a particular destination if you want. There's no towns in this that you can just go to. I think I'm trying to think. I think this is the only city that you go to, and then most of the game is actually spent out in the wilderness. And one of my favorite things about this game is, even though you spend most of the time out in the wilderness, that's on a completely different planet. That's a bit of a spoiler, but this game is 5 years old. This is one of the best games, probably the best looking game on the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was actually released on PC this year, so it probably looks even better now. But at the time, and still now, I mean, this game could be on PS4. It's running at 30 frames a second, and this is only recording in 560 something p. But it still looks okay running like that. In high definition, this game is absolutely beautiful. I remember at the time when I'll show it to you a bit later, but I stopped playing at one point because I just had to look up at the sky and how beautiful it was at the time. It's also got, as well as that, fantastic music, type of music known for Final Fantasy. But music and graphics are definitely not enough to justify saying a game is good. I think this game is good for other reasons. Some of the other complaints, apart from the linearity, were characters. Main character Lightning is basically a carbon copy of Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Soldier, he doesn't really care about anything except getting the job done. However, they somehow managed to miss... Oh no, I don't need a tutorial about how to use an item. It's okay, I know. Somehow they managed to miss the depth of characters like Cloud and Squall. They are very brooding and incredibly typical of Final Fantasy, which is fine. But as well as that, there aren't really many interesting characters. Even what I said about Lightning just then, she's still probably the most interesting character in the game, as well as Saz. A lot of very boring characters with bad Australian accents as well. I don't know what it was, but when this came out, like under 2009 and 2010, it was a weird period of time where every video game had an Australian in it for some reason. And what I was saying, look, oh jeez, I was going to say look at the sky, and there was just a rocket explosion. I'm sorry. Going to see a cutscene here. My PS3 is dying, so I don't even know what's going to happen. Wow, good timing. It just... I can say that wouldn't have happened if my PS3 wasn't dying. This is a very, very polished game, as you would expect from Final Fantasy. And from a game that was being worked on forever. I don't know if we're even going to see Final Fantasy XV, because that has been worked on. Final Fantasy XV was announced at the same time that this game was announced as well. Oh my god, my PS3 is dying. I'm very sorry. Anyway, it's probably a good time to skip to what I was talking about, the open-ended area, which is where the game actually shines. So this is the open area, and when I first got to this area in the game, I think it's about halfway, but I can't remember. I just thought, holy crap, this is like the best game I've ever seen. Look, you can see that giant guy walking around in the background, and it's not dark and dreary as well, and that planet over there is where you start the game. And I remember there's a particular scene where you can just see that hanging in the sky really close. Oh man, this game looks so good, and you can just wander around these planes. It's really very good. I'll go try to find a battle, but anyway, I think one of the reasons is soon I'll show you how the battle actually gets a bit more complex. And then I can really explain what I'm talking about why I enjoy this. So each character has a role, like a preemptive strike. Instead of the actual gameplay revolves around switching these what's called paradigm shifts, switching each role that the character has and leveling that up and making it the best that you can. You also have to figure out which roles are best for every situation. Bosses are going to need completely different roles compared to just regular enemies like this. And even though I'm not even pressing anything right now and a lot's going on the screen, it was a very basic battle, but getting in a boss fight is incredibly stressful as well. It involves... Actually, let's go fight... Should we fight this guy? No, that guy's going to kick our ass. We'll fight this guy. He did not want to fight. Anyway. So there is actually a large degree of strategy. It just happens to be that it takes about 20 hours to get to that. I think a lot of the problem was that game reviewers don't have a lot of time to spend with each game. 25 hours is much longer than most games even are at all. And then you get this game which is 50 hours long. game reviewers aren't going to want to spend that time playing through a game, and nor should they, because they have a job. But if you're playing it like me, if you're someone who enjoys it and wants to finish a game, you're going to get to the good part, the good meaty side of the game. So I have a feeling that what happened was a lot of developers didn't play through the game. When you get to this point, the game completely opens up, and all the openness that you would expect in a regular Final Fantasy is in this area. Let's go fight this guy. He might kill us. However, I have a feeling that reviewers wrote down the start of the game and they said this game is incredibly linear, which it is at the start, and everyone jumped on board, I think, is what happened. Oh jeez, this guy is not liking what we're doing. Everyone jumps on board with reviews, I think. They read it and they go, well, this review said that this is bad, I'm not even going to spend the time to find out for myself, which I suggest everyone does. But anyway, right now I'm still having fun trying to figure out how the hell to beat this guy. I don't even know. The way that it works is you have attack and magic, and there is a unique system that they haven't used in a Final Fantasy game before, which has stagger. The way that it works is magic gets the bar up, and then attacks make it so it doesn't reduce as quickly. One of the things that I love about Final Fantasy as a whole is every iteration of this series tries to include a new gameplay feature, and this is definitely a great example. It takes inspiration from Final Fantasy VII, actually, with the active time battle. It's also used in Final Fantasy X-2. It's pretty much the same as Final Fantasy X-2, actually. I think it's almost exactly the same. Anyway, this game actually spawned 2 sequels as well. Final Fantasy X-2, you can 13-2. They definitely what they really wanted to do was go completely against what they did with the first one, and they made the game so open-ended that you could travel back and forth through time, that not only could you go to cities, but you could go to cities in different times. And then they put out Final Fantasy XIII-3, which I haven't even played through because it is bad. Despite everything that I've said now, it's just bad. The story is terrible. Maybe we can even get one of the Australian accents in at this point. Anyway, but that's addressing some issues. Now I'm going to try to do somewhat more of an auto-ethnographic look and tell you how I actually feel while playing this game. I can't really figure out what I'm doing at the moment because I've been talking so much. I think this might heal this guy. I don't know. No, look, there we did it. Good. Tireless charge. So what I did was, because we used enough magic attacks to get this guy's armor off, now I can use regular attacks. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So when they're staggered, they launch them in the air. That's cool. I completely forgot about that. That's awesome. It's really good, and you end up juggling characters in the air. And there is actually another layer where you should be timing these attacks instead of just pressing X randomly to try to keep them in the air as often as possible. So when they're in the air, they can not attack back. Can I go to... I don't know if I can go to the last boss of the game. Maybe I should. This is another example in this game where the last boss is completely immune to any attack. They're immune to attacks. You have to try to figure out the strategy to make them not immune, and also it's impossible to lose. I don't know what it is about Final Fantasy games, but I can think of at least 3 that have final bosses that are impossible to lose. Actually, I can think of 4. Yeah, and there's probably more. Anyway, I'm just talking because I'm actually just enjoying running around this level because it looks so good. Let's try to fight this guy. I can really give an auto-ethnographic view on this. I'm thinking I would actually like to play through this entire game and see what my thoughts are once again on if this is a good game or not. I think this guy is probably going to kick our ass. No, we might be able to beat this guy. Let's see. So this is actually a tough challenge. He's already taking our characters down to half health. Let's see how this goes. We might be able to kill him. Anyway, So, oh my god, at the moment, this is... I'm quite stressed out because we're not being healed up properly. There we go, everyone's being healed, good. Holy crap, okay. There we go. See, I am actually putting a lot of thought into... Oh wow, I'm being attacked quite viciously. I think we're about to die too. Oh god, that was close. Wow. I wasn't expecting it. This is actually quite hard for the most part as well. I remember dying quite a bit, but you do have the classic Final Fantasy things such as the leveling up is what I meant. But you have chocobos, you have what are they called, Moogles. Chocobos don't come into it as often as some would or wouldn't hope, I guess. Oh god, we have to get this guy, we gotta take this guy soon. Alright, there we go. See, that stag is going down really fast because we haven't used any melee attacks for a while. I might be able to take this guy down actually. I think you get like a trophy, that'd be good. Anyway, this is actually quite a struggle, I think. Here we go, there we go, that's what we want. Now this guy's stag, I have a feeling we're not going to be able to knock this guy into the air. There we go, we're doing it. See, this is a good example of what the game's like. However, I have just been tapping X for the most part. You can, oh look, the bay. Oh no, it's stopped. That's really bad. I think that means that, wait, how do we, I don't know how to cure this. Uh-oh. I can't remember what to do in this situation. Oh, this guy's dead. Oh no, hang on. I'll do this. Don't worry. Wait, we don't have any Phoenix Downs. This is bad. Oh, there we go. I got this. Don't worry. I'm gonna bring this guy back to life. Don't worry. We're nearly dead. Holy crap. There we go. We nearly had him. We nearly had this giant... Oh no. It's all over now. Anyway. This kind of battle like this, I realize that I've just been talking crap, but this is what it's all about really. Trying to figure out which paradigm shift will work best for you, or best for each current situation, and you have to constantly, at every moment, keep swapping back and forth in these big battles like this. Oh god, this might kill us. No, okay. Alright, now it's time to go back on the offense. Alright. So I completely understand the linear nature of the game that made everyone angry, because it's not only like they're not even trying to trick you into thinking that you're not going down a tunnel in some cases. Like you saw in that very first part of the game, the majority of the first part of the game is literally going down straight hallways, and at the end as well, you're just going down a hallway, fighting the same enemies. But the way that they mix it up in this part, in this open-ended part of the game, is that it's about actually fighting different monsters. So you are introduced to a whole bunch of new enemies. Oh god. And then you got stuff like this. Right now, at the moment, I just needed one cure, but I had to swap back as quickly as possible. And it's called the active time battle, but it really is a lot more active than it was given credit for. Oh god, this isn't good. Oh, they stopped again. I can't remember how to fix this up. I can't remember how to cure these guys. Let's have a look. I don't know. There we go, it's fine. So it is actually more active, and you have to be engaged for the majority of these big battles. But when you find just regular enemies, you are just doing the classic Final Fantasy XIII of tapping X. Just over and over again, which, if you think about it, the way that I thought about it was that it's good. I mean, you don't really want to be concentrating on these tiny mobs. All you want to be doing is just getting it over with, and you can, and if you really need to grinding is made a hell of a lot easier. Not as good as Bravely Default though, and I think that's where Final Fantasy XIII could have improved a lot. Basically by being Bravely Default and just trying to improve the grinding. But if you've got such a monotonous, just repetitive battle system, then try to fix that by making it faster, or you can actually see the enemies, which Final Fantasy kind of goes in and out of doing. Sometimes you can see enemies, sometimes you can't. This one is one of those games where you can see the enemies on the screen. Final Fantasy VII, you can't see them before you go and attack them. May have been a good idea to do that, but I guess they really wanted to show this off, and they were really pushing the hardware of the PS3 at the time, and PS3 still had years and years to go. This came out like I think 2 years after, like this came out in the middle of the I'd say PS3 because I'm playing this on PS3, but I also mean Xbox 360. This is really pushing the hardware, and I think this was on either 2 or 3 discs. I can't remember. But that's my favorite thing about this game. The aesthetics, I believe you would say. But I still like this game, and I plan on playing through this again because right now I'm just remembering that I really did like this game a lot. I guess it's just a matter of being able to deal with the boring characters. I think that guy Hope, he is the worst character of all. And for some reason he is like the second main character in Final Fantasy XIII 3. I should also give that a try. But anyway, I'm very open to hearing people's rebuttals to everything I've said. Because even while I acknowledge that it is very repetitive, I don't see it as much. I mean, not repetitive. It is actually quite varied, but linear. I acknowledge that. I don't think it is as much of an issue as others. So if you're watching this and you want to disagree with me, please feel free to, and I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say. Anyway, that's going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.